Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Cardboard Herald's coverage of Platypus Con 2020 here in quite sloppy Juneau, Alaska. And I'm back with returning guest Michael Dunsmore, local Alaskan, sometimes local Californian, other times. Welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, last year we talked to you, and you were just on the verge of getting your first game published, a co-design for We Need to Talk, and that's with Smirk and Dagger, Smirk and Laughter.
Laughter brand, yeah. And it's out. It's a real game now. It came out June of 2019, so it's hard to beat the excitement of actually having something that people can go to the store and buy that has your name on it, right?
It's cool because when I was at PAX Unplugged this year, I actually saw people playing it in the wild. And I was like, dude, I met that guy, and he's Alaskan, and this is awesome. But I was surprised to find that when I was talking to you this year, you have kind of switched gears or acquired another hat, so to speak, because you're not just designing games, you're developing games. So what's up with this?
Yeah, so I started last fall working with some other local designers in the Bay Area that I've been friends with, and one of them, my good buddy John Brieger, has started doing contract development work, which is to say publishers hire him to polish up designs before they come out. And there was so much workload and such demand for this that he's now started a studio and brought 5 of us designers together to help him work on that. And that's been really interesting and to work with. I also want to give a quick plug that he has a game coming out too this March from TMG Chrono Corsairs, which I did a lot of playtesting on also. It's awesome. It's pirates stuck in a time loop. But yeah, so I've now partnered with John and his studio, and we're shooting to do 14 game projects in 2020.
Wow, that is quite the load. And what's so cool about game development and what I find fascinating is that 5 years ago, even though I was pretty plugged into the industry as a fan pre-Cardboard Herald, I had never heard of the idea of game development. And now, over the last particularly year or two, I've heard of lots of studios start coming up. So what is the need for game developers in the industry these days?
Yeah, so the industry's booming. There are thousands of games coming out each year, and to stay competitive, publishers are still trying to increase their output. What a game developer brings is similar skills to a designer of making a game that people want to play and polish, but they're really trying to take something that was a design and make it a product. So what I do as a developer in our studio is we'll take a design that a publisher has already acquired the rights to and say, we want to make this, here's our timeline, we'll give you 3 months to make X, Y, and Z about it better. And a lot of things we try to do is streamline the components to bring the cost down for the publisher, add value to the game, see can we add more content without adding more components, and just make sure it plays really smooth and really sleek to try to make these products stand out in the marketplace as much as possible. And I think you can kind of tell games that have gone through good development and those who haven't, in that they tend to just be that little extra polish that helps them sell that extra 500 copies that might increase their shelf life,
And is your target customer the person who's doing their first game or two on Kickstarter, or do you see even very experienced designers who have maybe a history of published games still coming to development studios?
Yeah, absolutely. Generally, people who are doing their first Kickstarter, it's usually their baby. They're really going to try to do it all themselves and take really smart ownership over it, which is great. I mean, I'm a creative person myself. I understand that. Where we get a lot of work is I've made 1 or 2 games and I want to expand, but I don't have the capital to bring on full-time employees, in which case contracting us for 2 months is a much better value than get out of it. And yeah, absolutely, we got big experienced people coming. Like for example, I'm working on this project that's going to come out later this year, 7 Summits from Deepwater Games, a well-established brand. And this is designed by Daryl Andrews, who's designed dozens and dozens of games. But that being said, he's cranking out new designs. The publisher doesn't have the manpower to get this done as fast as they want, so that's where Brieger Development Studio has now been brought on. So.
In a way, it's almost like I don't know, professional play testing by like people who really know what makes games good and gives you the adequate feedback in order to make that game more polished. Now, what we have here in front of us, because this isn't your design, is this a game that you've been running development work on?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I have on the table now, and it's out because I'm looking for playtesting here at Platypus Con, is a game called Tabriz by a designer, Randy Flynn, out of Seattle. And this has been picked up by the publisher Crafty Game Studios. So no, it's not my design, but I am one of the lead developers now that I've been hired by Crafty Games to do this. And a great example of one of the things we do is, for example, this is a game about trading your carpet traders in the Persian Bazaar in Tabriz and collecting resources to go to market stalls. So all these tiles represent market stalls, and they were given to us by the designer with just a single side of each stall. And so one of the things we can do is, without adding a cost to the game, we're developing backsides alternative for all of these tiles. So we've essentially, as developers, doubled the value to the consumer of this game product now when they go to put it on Kickstarter and sell it, without actually increasing the manufacturing cost of this product.
Now, for your development studio that you work for, is this where you get assigned a specific game? So, like, this is one that you are the head of the development on, or is it more of a collaborative process? Tell me about the actual sausage making when you're working with such an established team.
Yeah, okay, that's a great question. So we will put together teams for each product, each game we're working on. The studio I work on, currently we have 4 designer developers, a rulebook editor, and a project manager and art director. So we will put the team together based on what the product needs, plus what resources the publisher is bringing into it. So, for example, this game, Tabriz, we have on our side 2 developers assigned to it, me and John Brieger. The publisher has a culture consultant. They're going to handle the art and graphic designers they've contracted, and they have a designer attached to it. So we have like a 6-person team, 2 of us, some from the publisher, working on this, and we use all the usual internet tools to communicate and share files and information on a daily basis. Whereas some other products, I should say like 7 Summits I mentioned earlier for Deepwater Games, we're contracted essentially to take this start to finish. So in this one, our project manager and art director is involved. So he's like the lead of our team because he has to set the timeline to make sure all the artwork gets in so that this can hit the print date that the publisher is asked to hit. So then it comes down the chain of command. So I got assigned as a developer, and I get my time window, which on this one gave me about 6 weeks to do all the development on it. But our studio will still have it in its pipeline for about 2 more months as it does all the art direction and stuff.
Now, with Tabriz, why don't you tell me, because you're so intimately familiar with this game that you are running the development on, what are some of the core concepts in this game that make it stand out from other games, that just make it feel unique in the marketplace and like a game that you as a gamer want to play?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. So one of the cool things about this game is there will be some familiar elements to hobby gamers. It has a bit of the feel of the Century games or Istanbul, where you're going to get certain goods, turn them into better goods. What this adds is this modular marketplace where the goods aren't going to come out and be available in consistent manners. So every turn, you're evaluating the current board state for where there's a potential discount that will encourage you not to necessarily do the pre-planned engine you've already done, but here's this opportunity where I can break from my engine, but it'll save me a little bit down the road. And really finding and capitalizing on those opportunities, I think is what makes this game unique of that genre. There's also some cool things thrown in. We have the designer had this really interesting idea of a dice pool. So we have 3 different D3s, essentially D6s with 2 symbols on each, which correspond to all the commodities of the game. So some of the resources are actually controlled by the players trying to predict dice rolls of what they're going to get also. So there's a few novel mechanics there, but I'm really excited we have a cultural consultant attached who's actually Iranian and was actually a carpet salesman himself over there. So when this is done with the final art, you'll have real rug graphics. It'll have culturally appropriate names and themes and resources that'll hopefully also make the community of the Persian community happy to see this on the shelf too.
That is so fantastic, and I'm so thrilled to hear about the projects that you're involved in. It sounds like as a developer, you got a lot coming down the pike, and also I know that you have some designs that you can't quite share any of the information about right now, but I'm looking forward to hearing more about it throughout the year, and if nothing else, definitely at Platypus Con 2021. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me again, Michael.
Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.